She had $11,000 saved by the time she turned 29, and she felt nothing about it. Not pride. Not relief. Not the warmth she had expected when she first started building the number up from almost zero. She sat at her kitchen table on a Tuesday night, opened her banking app the way she always did before bed, and looked at the number. It was real. She had worked for it. She had said no to things for it. And she felt nothing. The number just sat there. She closed the app and went to bed. That moment would not make sense to her for another 8 months. Her name was Claire. She was 28 when the story really begins, though the habit started earlier. She grew up watching money move in one direction in her house, out. Her parents were not reckless people. They worked. They paid bills. But there was never a cushion. There was never a month where her mother did not look tired in a specific way when she opened the mail. Claire knew what that look meant before she could name it. Something had come in that they were not ready for. And the next 2 weeks would be quieter at dinner. Tighter. She decided early, the way children decide things that stay with them forever, that she would not live that way. She would not be caught off guard. She would build something solid underneath her. That is a reasonable thing to decide. That is, in fact, a smart thing to decide. The problem is not where she started. The problem is where she ended up. When Claire moved to a new city at 25 for a job in marketing analytics, she built her life with intention. A spreadsheet. Categories. A savings target of 20% of her take-home pay each month. She cooked at home. She made coffee at her apartment instead of stopping at the cafe. She cancelled subscriptions she was not using. She compared prices before buying anything above $20. These are not mistakes. That matters, so say it again. These are not mistakes. They are the kinds of habits that people tell you to build. And they worked. The savings account grew. Every month, the number went up. 1,000. 3,000. 5. And there was something deeply satisfying about watching it climb. Not the money itself exactly. The feeling of standing on solid ground. The feeling that she was not going to be her mother opening the mail. She was 26 when the first shift happened, though she did not notice it as a shift. Her co-worker invited her to a birthday dinner. A nice restaurant downtown. She looked up the menu and saw that most entries were between $35 and $50. With drinks and a cab home, she was probably looking at $80 or $90 for the evening. Almost 10% of her monthly savings target. She texted that she was not feeling well, stayed home, ate pasta from what she had in the pantry, and added the money she would have spent to her savings account instead. She did not feel bad about this. She felt sensible. She told herself she would make it up to the friend another time. She did not make it up to her another time. Not because she forgot. But because another time always had its own cost, and the math never quite worked out. This is how it begins. Not with a dramatic moment. Not with a crisis. Just a quiet calculation repeated enough times that it becomes the default lens. The question stops being, do I want to go? The question becomes, what does this cost? By 27 the spreadsheet had expanded. She had added more categories. She had found online communities of people who lived extremely lean and were proud of it. She saved the posts she liked. She read them in the evenings while cooking rice and vegetables, which had become her default dinner most nights because it was cheap and easy and she did not need to think about it. She stopped replacing her running shoes until the soles were worn through. She let her gym membership lapse and told herself she would run outside instead. The neighborhood was not ideal for running, especially in winter, and she mostly stopped exercising in a structured way. She started buying the cheapest version of everything, the generic shampoo that left her hair rough, the cheaper cuts of meat that took longer to cook and tasted like something she was enduring rather than eating. She stopped going to the dentist because the cleaning was not covered and the out-of-pocket cost was $120, and she could not make herself pay it when nothing hurt. She would go next year. or when something actually needed attention. She did not go that year or the next. She stopped buying birthday gifts. Then stopped making cards. Then started forgetting birthdays entirely, not because she was unkind, but because she was not present enough in anyone's life for the reminders to feel urgent. There was a co-worker she liked, a woman named B.A., who used to stop by her desk in the morning and talk for 10 or 15 minutes. About nothing much. The weekend, a book, something strange on the train. Claire had liked those conversations. But she started leaving for work earlier to save the transit fare by walking, and the longer walk required an earlier departure, and the earlier departure cut off the conversations. She did not think of this as a loss. She thought of it as efficiency. Her social life contracted in a way she framed to herself as natural. People grew apart. This was a normal part of getting older, she told herself. She was not lonely. She was focused. She said that word to herself a lot. Focused. Her two closest friends planned a long weekend trip, a drive to visit a mutual friend who had moved away. Split gas, stay at the friend's place, cook most meals at home. The total would have been around $150. Claire was $300 short of her monthly target that month. She told them she could not make it work financially. Her friends went without her. They sent photos. She liked the photos and went to sleep at 9:30, which she had started doing on weekends because it shortened the evenings and she did not need to find anything to do or spend anything to do it. She did not think about the trip again for several weeks. When she did, she thought about the $150. Not the weekend. Not her friends. The $150. She felt good about that. Her apartment was very clean. Her meals were consistent. Her accounts were growing. Her spreadsheet was immaculate. And her life, measured differently, had almost stopped. She was 29 now, talking to her mother on the phone the way she did every Sunday. Her mother asked what she had been up to. Claire tried to think of something and found it hard. She had worked. She had cooked. She had tracked. She said she had been working a lot. The call ended after 13 minutes. Neither of them mentioned that it was shorter than usual. The farmer's market was a Saturday in October. Overcast and dry. Her neighbor knocked on her door, an older man from 2 doors down who waved to her sometimes in the hallway, and asked if she wanted to walk over with him. He went every week. He had seen her around and thought maybe she would like to come. She almost said no. She was calculating, farmers' markets cost more than the grocery store, she had already meal prepped for the week. She opened her mouth. Something stopped her. She is not sure what it was. She went. They walked slowly. She bought nothing. But she stood next to a flower stall for a long time, looking at bunches of eucalyptus and dried lavender. She thought about how she had not bought flowers or anything like flowers for her apartment in over 2 years. She used to have a small succulent on her windowsill. It had died. She had not replaced it. There was a stall selling warm apple cider for $2 a cup. Her neighbor bought her one without asking. She held the cup with both hands and stood in the October air and drank it, and it was warm and sweet, and she felt, for reasons she could not explain at the time, close to tears. Not sad tears. Something else. The kind that come when you have been hungry for a long time and you finally eat something, and the hunger becomes visible to you only in the moment of being briefly relieved. She went home and sat at her kitchen table for a long time. Not tracking. Not cleaning. Just sitting. She opened her banking app. $11,430. Then she opened her photo album and scrolled back slowly. She was looking for something without knowing what it was. She found it after scrolling back almost 2 years. A photo of her at a rooftop party with her old group of friends. She was laughing. She did not remember what was funny. She looked like she was somewhere. In a moment that was worth being in. She scrolled forward. There were almost no photos after that point. Meals she had made. A screenshot of a savings tracker. A photo of a cloud through her bedroom window. Almost no people. Almost no places. Almost no evidence that she had gone anywhere or been with anyone for a very long time. The account had grown steadily. And her life, measured differently, had almost stopped. She was not seeing this for the first time. She was seeing it clearly for the first time. She thought about the dentist she had not visited in 2 years. The shoes that hurt her feet. The friends let go one unanswered invitation at a time. The flowers she had not bought. The cider she had almost declined. The weekend trip. The morning conversations with BEA, ended by a 17-minute walk that saved her $4. She thought about how, in all that time, she had not once asked herself what the saving was actually for. She had a goal number, 20,000. But when she tried to picture what came after it, she could not. Save more after that, probably. It was not really about the number. It was about the feeling. The feeling of not being her mother at the mailbox. But avoiding one painful thing does not fill the space with something good. It just removes the painful thing and leaves a gap. And if you never fill the gap, eventually the gap becomes the whole life. She had been so afraid of financial instability that she had made herself stable in one dimension and barely alive in every other one. The thing that is hard about this kind of story is that the behavior looked correct the entire time. Anyone watching would have said she was responsible, smart, mature, disciplined. Nobody was going to pull her aside and say you are disappearing. Nobody could see it from the outside because from the outside it looked like all the right things. The danger was invisible because it was wearing the face of a virtue. She called the dentist. There were 2 small cavities. They would have been nothing caught earlier. She paid for the work without calculating what percentage of her savings it represented. She texted a friend she had not spoken to in 4 months. The friend responded within an hour. They met for coffee the following weekend. Claire did not calculate the cost of the coffee before agreeing to go. They talked for 3 hours. Her friend filled her in on months of things, a hard breakup, a new job, a family situation. Claire had missed all of it. She had been in the city, 20-minute subway ride away, and she had missed all of it because she had been in her apartment being efficient. She bought a small succulent at the hardware store on the way home. For $. She put it on the windowsill. The $11,000 was still there. She did not start spending recklessly. She did not swing into the opposite mistake. She just slowly, quietly started letting herself back into her own life. Started accepting some invitations. Started asking herself a different question. Not what does this cost, but what does it cost me not to go? That shift in the question changed a lot. She still has a savings account she contributes to every month. She still cooks at home most nights. But she knows now what she did not understand then. That there is a version of financial discipline that serves you, and a version that slowly replaces you. One keeps money in its proper place. The other makes it the only thing that has won. She built the cage very carefully. She called it responsibility. She was proud of its construction. And the whole time, while she was adding to the savings, the cage was getting smaller. She goes to the farmer's market most Saturdays now. Sometimes she buys the eucalyptus. Sometimes just the cider. The account is fine. It will keep. There are things that will not keep. She is learning, slowly, to know the difference.